My Hero Ultra Rumble's been out for a little while. And I gotta say, it's one of my most favorite battle royales of all time. And and over that time, I've gotten my ass kicked plenty of times. But when you get your ass kicked, you learn a thing or two. So I decided to share a few of these tips and tricks with you today. Also, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, all that stuff. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, starting with tip number 1, stay with your team. I cannot tell you how many times I've gone off to get an item and I got jumped by a team of 3, could not win, get down, and then instantly KO. So, always be aware where your team is and how far away your team is. Also, if they're saying they get attacked, you better run right over. Otherwise, you're going to have a 1v3 situation very fast. Very, very fast. Alright, now tip number 2. Really look at your character. Now, there's some of you may find this obvious, but some people don't. Because sometimes what you think an ability does is not what it actually does. For example, Genki's R special move. I thought it'd be some sort of special electricity power-up move. But no. He turns his whole body to electric, so whenever somebody touches you, or touches him, an enemy touches them, they get electric shocked for a little while. So make sure to always read your character thoroughly so you know exactly what every move does at the time. So, now moving on to tip number 3. When fighting, watch when they get knocked down. Now, what do I mean by that? When they get knocked to the ground, when you get knocked to the ground and you stand back up, you notice a white little thing around you, right? So that's, and it may be off some of you, but you are invincible for that time. So, when you are fighting someone, stay away from that, especially when they get knocked on the ground, because they will instantly come up and retaliate if you are close to them. So be careful of that, especially in close quarters of combat. For example, I was playing as Deku, and I was up against a Mountain Lady. I knocked Mountain Lady down. We were both at low health, right? I got close to her to try to finish her off, but boom, she jumped up with invincibility, stomped me, and I was dead instantly. Could not do a thing about it. So keep that in mind whenever you're using battling. That's why projectiles are a bit better, because they do not knock them down on the ground. You can keep piling on damage that way. Whew, let me catch my breath for a second. Alright, tip number 4. Pay attention to your character's type. If you see the abilities roaming around the ramp, they might have letters on them, like alpha, gamma, beta, so on and so forth. So, pay attention to them. So, let's say, for example, you're playing as Deku, and you see Assault thing. Well, it'll level up one of the letters that is listed on there. So, always be aware of your character's type and the abilities you find. You can drop them down, give them to them. That's a free level up for you. Especially since level up cards can be hard to find if you're not going to certain chests, and gold chests, and other things like that. Tip number 5, use markers. Even if you don't like to communicate. Now, most of the time, the characters will take care of that part because they will always yell out if they're being attacked, or so on and so forth. So, it is not that bad. But, you still need to use markers because it is generally really good. Like, for example, you want to get an item, you just put a marker on it. You see some enemies going over that way, you put a marker on it. If you want to stop telling your team to stop stealing your freaking items, you put a marker on it. Alright, let's see, what else? Tip number 6. You can combo people in the air. Before they touch the ground, they are fair game. So if you get knocked off a cliff, or they get knocked off a cliff, that's just like duck shooting with your Q quirk, or alpha quirk, whatever quirk that is ranged. So keep in mind that. Look for things falling off, like people falling off a cliff, or people doing in the air, like you rock a spin move, can keep knocking them up in the air, sort of like a stun lock, which is very cool. So, I think that wraps it all up for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope some of you got a little help from this. If not, well, God, I did a bad job. Alright, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.